Hello, and welcome back to Traitors Expert. This is the aftershow episode for the UK Traitors, episode 9 of season 4. We're getting really close to the end now. Final is looking very close. So, in this episode, it was a very emotional episode, wasn't it? Or at least for the players, it was a very emotional episode. As it tends to be around this time of the game. You know, I could feel that dinner party looming, but it was probably going to happen soon. And the dinner party is usually when everyone gives their backstory, gives the reasons why they're there, the reasons why they want the prize money, and effectively guilt trips the traitors. This is something I've spoken about before in a reaction I did technically on another channel to the Celebrity Traitors final. But I do find it interesting that all of the players give their, you know, obviously their own very personal reasons why they want to win the prize money. I presume the producers must heavily have to, like, you know, message to the traitors, like, do not think about the prize money. Because it could probably get in your head a little bit. Like, yes, this is all a game and you're choosing to eliminate people every night and, oh, it's so fun, we get to do this as traitors. But when you choose to send someone home, you are removing their chance of winning £100,000 plus of prize money. And they never talk about that aspect. Probably because it would make them look like awful people. As I've sort of said before, like, if one of you go in, like there was Alexander last year in season 3, Alexander said that he would want to donate the money to a charity that was to do with his brother. Imagine how awful it would be if the traitor said, we don't think his reason was good enough, we don't care about his charity, and we're going to choose to eliminate him because of that. You know, if they made the decision based on that moral dilemma of who's more deserving of prize money. You know, if they looked at Faraz and said, oh, he just wants to buy a new car, let's get rid of him. Whereas, like, Jade had a much more emotional story, so let's keep Jade in and let's get rid of Faraz because he just wants a new car. I presume, yeah, they're, like, heavily told by the producers, do not think about it. Like, everyone, it's like a lucky dip, random chance for someone's going to win the prize money. You guys might not win it, the faithful might not win it. Just think of it like it is like a poker table and all of you have gone there with the same odds, even though you technically don't have the same odds. It's statistically it is more likely that you will win as a traitor, so the game isn't completely fair, or at least, like I say, from a strategy point of view. But, and I think people have sussed onto this, the traitors do have more power over the game, and I think you do have more of a chance of winning if you're a traitor. Yeah, so it's not all completely random, but yeah, I think they're told they have to just think about it like that. I'm sure there must be loads of work done by the producers to do that, because it is a weird aspect of the game that, you know, especially at this dinner party, everyone explicitly says, look, I've got really, like, good intentions with this prize money and I want to do really good things with it, really personal things that mean a lot to me. And then for the traitors to then have to choose one of those people to send home after that, it's quite unfair on them mentally. So yeah, I presume they're just fully told, don't ever think about it. Don't ever think about it. And this is something that I've wondered about before: is, does the show need prize money? Like, I kind of get that it adds some stakes to the show, but does it? I think most of us watching just enjoy the drama of it all. And is the drama really heightened that much by the prize money? Obviously, yes. To a degree, yes, it is. Obviously. But they never mention the prize money until the end. The only time the prize money comes up is in the challenges, which everyone has collectively agreed are the most boring part of the show. To the point that, like, in these aftershow podcasts, I barely even speak about the challenges. And I probably won't speak about this challenge because I've already basically forgotten what happened. Yeah. Does it need a prize fund? I don't know if it does. I think a lot of people are playing for the bragging rights of winning the game. Especially when you think of people like Harriet, where Harriet sacrificed herself, or sort of sacrificed herself, to try and help a faithful win. See how well that's turned out. Harriet tried to sacrifice herself to get a faithful win. Well, a faithful win doesn't mean she gets a share of the prize money. It's only the faithfuls at the end. So I think a lot of people are just genuinely playing because they are competitive and they just want to win because of that, and for the fun of it. And like I say, no one ever mentions the prize money. So do we need it? Controversial take. But yeah, it was a very emotional episode. There was a lot of crying in this one. I mean, the round table was probably the most crying we've had at a round table. I mean, that's probably not true, but normally it tends to be just one person. But in this one, we had Ellie crying, we had Jade crying, and I mean, poor old Jade. I mean, she has had a lot of heat on her this entire game, and I think obviously a lot of players before have had a lot of heat, but she has had consistent every round table. There's been at least one accusation at her. And when we've been doing the combined vote counts, she's been pretty much at the top of the vote count most times. I think there was 1 week where Sam overtook her. But Jade has either been in first or second from most of the series on the combined vote count. Before... still currently, after this roundtable, Jade is on 10 votes. She is the most voted for player still out of the current remaining players. So, yeah, it's kind of inevitable that she would snap at some point. And like I said in the previous after show, I don't really understand sometimes when people get really emotional on the show, when it's like a big board game. But I can see that with Jade in particular, it's been a bit relentless. Every day, people being accusing her. And it probably does exact a bit of a toll on you when you have to go into the round table with your backup, ready to be attacked. So I can understand why she might be getting defensive and getting emotional. But yeah, we'll get onto the round table in a second because we haven't spoken about who was who was eliminated by the Traitors. And unfortunately, that was Jesse. So out of the choices, it was Jesse, Matt, or Faraz for the Traitors that he kind of narrowed it down to. And unfortunately, it was Jesse. Like I say, it's just a shame because we're losing a lot of the good characters of the series, and I think Jesse was a really good character this series. Obviously, previously we've lost some of the more interesting people: Amanda, Fiona, Hugo, even. But that's even Sam. I quite thought had quite a good, charismatic, kind of different personality to everyone else on the show. But that is inevitable with this game. Every year you start to whittle down the more interesting fringe people that are maybe more entertaining to watch. Let's put it that way. And then you're left with less interesting people. So it was a shame to see Jesse go. But again, we've got so many patterns in this series. Jessie, before she left, made took a stand against Stephen, and they went for the double bluff. The Traitors went for the double bluff and thought, well, maybe it'll look too obvious for Stephen, and they won't go for him. So even though Stephen was the most obvious person to have chosen Jesse to be eliminated, he's survived, and this is the pattern. Someone will go against one of the Traitors, one of Rachel and Stephen. They will then leave either that episode or the next one, and then all of the suspicion that you would have thought would have built up around that person, that they've been directly accused by one person and then that person's gone, you would think eyes would then turn to them, but they haven't. Every time they haven't. Stephen, despite the fact that the person who directly accused him the night before has been eliminated, Stephen had 0 votes. 0 votes. It's kind of incredible, isn't it? I don't understand how Rachel's got away with it so far. Rachel is still only on 1 vote across the entire series. Stephen has had more. Stephen has had 5. Stephen has had more suspicion on him earlier in the game. but it's all counted for nothing. Steven's getting away with it. Rachel's getting away with it. Yeah, they've fair play to them, because I've kind of briefly mentioned, but like I've not been the biggest fan of them as traitors. I don't think they've been the most entertaining traitors we've had on the show, and I think their strategy also hasn't been as good as some of the previous traitors we've had. But I would say for them, they've done brilliantly in deflecting themselves away from this. I don't know if it might be 80% luck. It might just be 80% luck. But whatever they're doing has worked. They have dodged more attacks, direct attacks on them, than a lot of previous traitors have. A lot of the really good traitors in the past have kind of been people that have gone under the radar a little bit. Like Harry. Like, he just didn't have a lot of suspicion on him. And he just managed to get all the way through to the final. Whereas, well, I guess he did have a bit of suspicion. I think Jazz was... But then was Jazz... I don't think Jazz was very vocally suspicious of Harry. Whereas these two have had a lot of direct, vocal, public accusations against him. And yet, they've got away with... Rachel's got away with 1 vote across the entire series. Stephen's got away with 5. They have done well to survive this long. Like I said in the previous one, they're dodging bullets like Neo in the Matrix. It's incredible, and I have to give them like props for that. And they have grown on me. As a pair, actually, they've grown on me, and I think they've got. There's actually, I think, I could be proven wrong, but they do seem to have each other's backs, which has been quite rare for traitors in this game. They're actually working quite effectively as a team. You will see moments where someone will be accusing, like Stephen, for example, whilst Rachel's there, and Rachel does subtly back him up. And it's not, like I say, it's not too strong. It's not so like, oh no, Stephen can never be a traitor. Stephen can never be a traitor. That would be a bit suspicious, because like any of them could be traitors. Like, what you're saying, like Stephen could never be a traitor. You shouldn't say that about anyone in this game. But she very subtly kind of knocks back on it and says, no, I'm not sure. Like in this episode, like, no, I don't think Stephen would have done that. Like, done that much of an obvious stupid move against Jesse. So, I mean, fair play to them. They've worked well as a team. And they have delivered some good moments. I mean, there's been some amazing like battles between like Rachel and her fellow traitors, her fellow contestants, and yeah, they could get to the final together. I think, yeah, I think that they're in a strong position now. But yeah, as we get to, we haven't kind of flirted around it, but we haven't got to who was actually banished yet, which was Ellie. This kind of came out of nowhere. Ellie had only had 2 votes in the entire series up to this point. But this is another good example of where I think, even though I've criticised their strategy, the traitor strategy, Rachel did do something quite clever here, I think, where I don't know how much of this was on purpose, though. This is what I mean. I think sometimes they've had a lot of luck. So Rachel had said this thing at the breakfast table where she goes, right, I think I've now worked it out. I think things have fallen into place and I've got someone in mind. I'm going to bring it up at the round table later. Now, whether or not this was a grand strategy, I'm dubious of. But she did manage to use this to her favour very effectively at the round table. Because she laid that little seed earlier in the day, but it gets to the round table, and she comes up with this idea, or maybe this was always the plan, that, I put that out there as like a trap, because I wanted to then rile up the traitors and make them think that make them think that I'm onto them, and then maybe one of them would change their change how they're acting and do something different. And she then uses this against Ellie to say, Ellie, you then came up and spoke to me. And therefore laid suspicion on Ellie. And I think that was actually, even if it was just an idea in the moment at the round table, it was very effective she sort of laid a trap and used that to advantage and did some good suspicion against Ellie at that point. So actually, I think that was quite clever from Rachel. And I wonder if that is what slightly pushed things over the line to get Ellie out. Because otherwise, I don't really understand why Ellie left. I don't really understand why they were voting for her. I don't know if this is a problem with the edit. Maybe we've just not seen enough suspicious things against Ellie. Is it a sort of character thing? People just kind of think, oh, she could be. I don't know. I don't really understand it. Like I said, she didn't have a lot of suspicion on her up till this point. But yeah, unfortunately, then we lost Ellie. But we did get that good moment of her revealing her relationship with Ross, which was quite fun. That the group get to find out in the actual episode and react to it. So that was fun. Yeah, so the total vote count. Ellie got 4 votes. So it doesn't take much of this stage to get you out. So Ellie got 4 votes. Matt got 2. Jade got 2. And James got 1. Which means out of the people still left, the person with the most votes is Jade at 10. Stephen and... Well, we got a new joint second place with Stephen, actually, which is Matt. So Matt is now joint second place with Stephen. James is at 4 and Rachel is 1. Whilst we talk about Matt, oh my god, this whole recruitment thing has annoyed me so much. I think it's such like pick me behaviour, like he's just making everything about himself. So when Jesse gets eliminated, he's then going, oh, they're doing my deal. It's like, they're not doing your deal. They're barely thinking about you, mate. He's making everything about himself. And I think it's kind of hilarious because they're definitely not going to recruit him at this stage. Unless something very weird happens, like Rachel gets banished in the next round table or something, and then Stephen then recruits him. I don't know. I guess there's a chance. But I find it hilarious. And if I was a traitor, I would just flat out refuse to recruit him just because he asked. I think I just find it annoying that he asked. And the fact that he asked with a condition, like, oh, recruit me, but you have to do this for me first. It's like, why do they have to do anything for you? They're the traitors. Like, they've got so much more power than you have in this game. You've got no power. I think it would have been hilarious if they just murdered him instead of Jesse. Just like, you wanted to be recruited, but no. In fact, you murdered. And I think the only reason they're keeping him in is that he hasn't really been right about a lot, which is a problem with most of the remaining players. That's one of the reasons they're still in the game, is because they haven't been right about a lot. And as soon as you are right about something, Jesse, you get kicked off. So that's, as a faithful, how to win the game is you need to be wrong a lot. And you need to be dodgy. You need to be dodgy or wrong. So, yeah. That was the round table vote. So we've gone from 22 players down to, we now have, how many is it now? We're now down to 8 players. So Faraz, Jack, Jade, James, Matthew, Maz, Rachel, Roxy and Stephen. Which brings us to the twist at the end of the episode, which is the ceremonial dagger. So this is a new twist to the game, that the ceremonial dagger will give you 2 votes at the round table. This is interesting. I was expecting a bigger twist, because you usually expect some kind of a twist to the dinner party, whether or not it's a murder in plain sight, or right back in series 1 there was the chance for one player could leave the game with a bit of the prize money. As a twist, it is an important power, I guess, getting an extra vote, getting a double vote. But I don't know if that really helps you that much. It helps the traitors, where the traitors already have 2 votes between them. So getting an extra vote, that is quite kind of powerful for the traitors. But as a faithful, as an individual faithful, getting an extra vote, does it really help you that much? I don't know if it does. So it's only benefiting the traitors, really. So is this something the producers have done to try and sort of help them win or something? I don't know. It's weird. But But yeah, so the traitors, the ceremonial dagger, the traitors also have the power to choose who gets it. Now, this is another what do you do as a traitor? Do you go for yourself or do you not go for yourself? Yeah, I think maybe at this point you just take a risk and you go for yourself. You give yourself the double vote power. Because we've only got 8 players left. So currently there's 2 traitors in the 8 players. So you already have a quarter of the players are the traitors. And these are united traitors that appear to trust each other and have each other's backs, which that's quite powerful that you've got a quarter of the game already, united and is part of your team. So with the ceremonial dagger, you would go to having 3 votes out of the 8. So the faithful would have a collective 6 votes, and you would have so technically it's 3 out of 9, isn't it? So the faithful would have 6 votes, and you would have 3 votes. That's quite a big percentage, and could very easily sway things. And then after that banishment, you are then down to 2 out of 7 people, assuming you get rid of a faithful. So you're then at 2 out of 7 of traitors. And then you'll have 1 final murder, I believe, before the final. So then you'll be at 2 out of 6 are traitors. I think maybe you just risk it. And I wonder if that is what they're doing. Because, there could be nothing to... this is overanalyzing again. But if you look at the angle that Rachel drops the dagger down in, that really overly dramatic, kind of goofy looking shot of her go, I believe from the angle it looks like she has done it on Stephen's portrait. I think Stephen's down there. It's hard to tell. He's definitely not on the top row, I don't believe. And I don't think she's stabbing herself. I think it's him. I think he's, when they're looking at the table, I think his portrait's on the bottom right, and it looks like she's aiming to the bottom right. So, but then, how much information can you really gather from these things? But I think they might be giving it to Stephen. And maybe he's got this confidence that the Jesse thing worked. He's deflected some other things. He can maybe play this off somehow. I don't know how you play it off. I guess, your very strong argument would be, why would the traitors give themselves the ceremonial dagger? It would make them look too obvious. You try and play that again, but how many times can that work? Fair. It's worked with Jesse. And then celebrity traitors, it worked several times. Oh, that's too obvious. That can't be true. No, it was true. Yeah, I think they could get away with it. It might not be what I would do. I don't know what I would do. I do at this stage. I think I would take a risk, but I wouldn't want it to be me. If it was me and another traitor, I would want them to take it. I'd agree that one of us should, but I wouldn't want that flack on me. Yeah. So I just wonder if it might be Stephen. But they could probably try and come up with something, he could say, someone's trying to set me up. First they go for Jesse the night before. Now they're going for me again with the ceremonial dagger. It doesn't really matter too much, because all you need to do at that point, you've got 3 out of 9 of the votes. You only really need to convince maybe one other person, and you can vote off whoever you want at the round table, and you survived. As long as Rachel has his back, and he obviously uses his 2 votes not for himself, he can probably survive it quite easily. So I think that will be what they do, I think. And like I said, I just think it looks like it would be Stephen's portrait. But let's see. And obviously next week it's the final. It's come around. Has it come around fast? It has come around fairly fast. It's a bit of a weird series, this, isn't it? Because I think a lot of people have struggled to get behind some of these players. But I think episodes like this are good to kind of see a bit more of their personal side. You get a bit more like about them as a human, and I have started to get behind them a bit more, and I think I am sort of impressed with Stephen and Rachel in particular. Someone in the comments sort of pointed out that like they think that I root for the faithful, and that is true. I do root for the faithful when I watch it, and I didn't even realise when I watched the show to begin with. I thought everyone would think that you would root for the faithful to win, but no. There's kind of two camps of the show. You're either like someone who wants the traitors to win, or you want the faithful to win. And like with Celebrity Traitors, I really wanted Joe Marler and Nick Mohammed to team up and take down the traitors, and they didn't. But I would admit that Alan winning was hilarious, and it was probably the best outcome from a TV point of view. But yeah, I do root for the faithful. Like I completely admit to that. I want clever faithfuls who are gonna like get people out. But I also see that it's very hard for the faithful to win, and more so I think people are picking up on this, and that's why most of the people on this series wanted to be traitors, because I think people are waking up to the fact that like, yeah, being a traitor is so much better in terms of the strategy of the game. You hold so much more power. So even though I don't normally root for the traitors, I think with who's left out of the faithful, I'm more rooting for them to win now. And like I said, they've really grown on me. I like their kind of weird, mischievous sibling energy, and I am impressed with how they've done, how they've somehow managed to survive all of this. It doesn't make any sense, and the faithful should have got them out by now. Or at the very least, they should have voted for them more. How has Rachel? I keep coming back to this because I just don't understand it. How has Rachel only got one vote this entire series? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. And Stephen, like, if you drew a Venn diagram of like the cages, if you drew a Venn diagram of the cage situation and which players are in the cages, and you drew a Venn diagram of who was in the library when it looked like Ross was being framed, Stephen, and there was something else as well. Stephen is in the centre of every Venn diagram of this series. Jesse's murder, what might happen with the ceremonial dagger. Stephen has been at the centre of all of this, and somehow he's only got 5 votes. Yeah, it's impressive just from that point of view, from that survival of those two players. So I'm probably now rooting for them to win. If we had some different faithful in the final, or in these final 3 episodes, it might be a different story. Like I say, I liked Jesse. Amanda was brilliant. Well, Amanda... okay, maybe not brilliant, but Amanda was interesting from a gameplay point of view. You know, having a former detective in there, that is interesting, even though it didn't exactly work out for her. But she's different as well. She's different age, different profession and stuff. A lot of these people remaining just feel very similar. And some of them aren't the most likeable out of the bunch that are remaining. So it's just kind of hard to get behind them. And like I say, just, yeah, lacking some of that charisma of some of the earlier faithfuls that have been eliminated. Like someone like Ross was like really easy to get behind. Like he was really charismatic and funny, and like, yeah, it's just a shame that we don't really have a lot of people like that. As I say, they're all nice, and they're all fine, but I don't root for any of them in the same way that I have done maybe previous faithfuls in other series. You know, like where's our Jazzica Christie this year? Like we just, yeah. And maybe someone might emerge in the final episodes. Who knows? I have liked James this series, and I think James is someone who, in real life, I think he would be someone I could be friends with. And he's done some fun things. We haven't really spoken about that whole shield thing where he nicked the shield. I think that's been blown up out of proportion a little bit, but yeah, it's hard to root for them. So I think I am now rooting for the Traitors, even though it goes against my normal way of thinking. But let's see. And is there anything to this second scroll? Maybe not. Is there anything to the Orient Express theory, the connections? not looking good. Not looking good on that. But it was fun to speculate, wasn't it? And the secret traitor thing was fun to speculate on. But yeah, let's see what happens in the final. And can these two survive another couple of days to get there? I think they could. I think they could do this, especially with the ceremonial dagger thing. Does it give them too much power? I feel like it gives them a bit too much power. It's a bit like that seer thing the other year where that kind of messed everything up a little bit. Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens because it could make them look suspicious, but I think they will use it. And the way it's gone this series, they probably will get away with it. So let's see. I will meet you back next week on Wednesday night for the third to last episode of the series. Let's see what happens. Thanks for watching, and thanks for listening to the there's an audio version of this as well if you just search for Traitors Expert on your audio podcast network of choice. I've also launched Patreon. I'll post a comment about that in the description, in the comments below, if you want to support the channel, because I don't currently have monetization on YouTube. It's like a long story, but yeah, that's the way I can make money out of this. And there is a bonus episode I've done up there comparing the UK and the US Traitors. So if you want to have more content and also support the channel, I would really appreciate it. I can't believe I got through this episode because I've had such a bad cold all day. My nose has been dreadful. So yeah, that's my excuse if this episode wasn't as good. But yeah, emotional episode, and it's sad to see faithfuls keep getting eliminated for the more interesting characters. But like I say, let's maybe now get behind the traitors. As bad as that sounds, I think I'm now getting behind them. So let's bring on next week and see how they can survive again through luck. Okay, see you next week. Goodbye.